That was a good day to see a lot of people out there in this free world. Anyway, I'm just gonna say Noah has a song, and since he's been singing this song, we've been rocking this well since. But now we do have a manager now. Yay! So we'll be going places now. Okay, here's Noah.
Yeah, what a way to kick it off. That was so beautiful. Next up, we're just moving right along. That's how we do. I want to introduce somebody that you know well. Mr. Michael Fair. Michael Fair is a former member of Edmonton City Council. He's a former board member of Trickle Canada, and he's a current board member for New West Press and Coalition Canada for Basic Income. An incredible mover and an organizer in our community, and someone we love to hear from. Let's give it up for Michael.
Thank you very much for the very kind introduction. I too wish to acknowledge the land that we are on, that was peopled by thousands of Indigenous, Métis, Inuit people over a long period of time. And for the drumming that we just heard, that was the call for you to be part of that, to be part of the gathering today. And a gathering is something that I think is part of the tradition that we are learning how to come together, talk, think, and then act, as it was done by the ancestors who gathered here for thousands of years. So I thank all of those who were the ancestors, the grandmothers, the mothers, the fathers, that have made this possible for us to be here today to build on what they started so long ago. I'm also here to support income for all of us and all Canadians. I'm a member of the Coalition Canada basic income, a national group with representatives across Canada, providing information on basic income and advocating with members of Parliament, the Senate, to make basic income a reality, something that we can all have in Canada. And why do I support basic income? In a recent survey, 89% of Albertans agreed that people need help. They've watched what's happened to all of us during this pandemic, and people have said we need to do things to make sure that everyone does well. The Canadian safety net that many of us are part of, which is 50 years old, has worked well, but it needs to be reinvigorated. We need to think anew as we move through the next 50 years. Well, in my opinion, that help will be reinvigorated when the safety net is basic income. More income leads to better health outcomes for all. Research shows all over the world that income is the greatest predictor of good health, long-term health. And that is one of the benefits we would see. It also supports the local economy. It is spent in our communities, buying winter tires, more families being able to afford good childcare, fixing broken steps, purchasing more energy-efficient windows, ordering a meal in, and winter boots for kids, and latest movie online. And many small businesses will benefit from the spending of the money locally, and that will impact positively our economy here in Edmonton and in the province of Alberta. For many, it also provides a safety net to upgrade and learn new skills to acquire a better job, or to take English as a second language programs for newcomers. With the changing and new economy that is in front of us, this kind of training and education will help people find new and better jobs and be able to increase their income. And many of us will go, in fact, for more education at McEwen, Norquest, University of Alberta, Marvel College, etc. All local institutions, all benefiting from that income that comes to people to be able to do things for themselves, to upgrade and be part of the new economy. Many forgotten entrepreneurs will stay afloat. The piano teacher who runs their business from their home, the storyteller and singer who volunteers to entertain folks at senior centers. They need that income to be able to do the kinds of things that make life worth living for so many of us in Edmonton and across Alberta. The Edmonton families with little or no income, it will help with rent, food, and clothing, providing a big step out of poverty. Yes. There are so many reasons to advocate for basic income for Albertans. And this is why I am here and why I support basic income. So join me. What do we want? Basic income. What do we want?
Basic income.
What do we want?
Basic income.
Once more, what do we want?
Basic income.
Thank you.
Right on. When do we want it?
Now.
No doubt. Just jumping in back with my hostly duties, I neglected to mention something that is an important part of the housekeeping, and I think just an important piece of the intention today to really uplift lived experience and uplift the wisdom that's in this room. And that you all bring. So on that note, there is a speaker's corner that is going to be happening. I've been told it's going to be beyond those flags somewhere, but if anybody feels, oh, maybe there's some waving going over there. Look at the waving. So the speaker's corner is really about if you have anything that you'd like to share about what a basic income would mean to you, please, when the program is over, go over there and speak your piece. I know folks would love to hear from you. And we'll just keep moving with the program and folks sharing that lived experience. Up next, we have Brenda Mcnichol, who is part of the organizing committee for today. And and she's a community member. She's retired, she has 4 children, and she is longing to see more justice in the world and believes passionately that every human being should have a basic standard living. She believes everyone deserves the dignity having enough engenders. So please welcome Brenda Mcnichol.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Michael. I'd like to say that I agree with everything you just said. And I'm here to to focus the camera down very, very specifically. I want to tell you a story about a person who was able to access the emergency funding called CERB. This person is someone who has struggled all of her adult life with mental health issues and substance use problems. She's experienced a lot of violence, a lot of insecurity, a lot of danger. And for the last, she is, 42 years old, and for the last 7 years she has been homeless. It was kind of a miracle that she managed to qualify for CERB, and I won't bore you with those details, only to say that she called me and said, "Oh my God, I just got a check for $2,000. And I was very excited for her, but I want to tell you that I was also a little worried. I thought, I thought it was great, and I also wondered, what would she do with it? That's a thing we often hear. If we give people, we give the wrong people money, maybe they won't be responsible. Maybe they won't do the right thing, the thing that we think they should do. So this person who is kind of in the lowest possible living experience that you would see in this country, what did she do with the money that she got from the federal government? She went and found a place to live. She took her money and she rented herself a little apartment in a house. Very basic, pretty much a slum landlord kind of situation, because she can't qualify for references and leases and all those things. And you know what, the next thing that happened was, of course, she got another check. And you know what she did with that check? She paid her rent as far as she could with the money that she got. So she'd have a safe place to sleep every night, so that there would never be a time when somebody could come and say, "You're not welcome here anymore, you have to go." And this is why I believe that a universal income is important and necessary at this time, because people need the freedom to decide for themselves what they want to do with their lives, and they need money to keep a roof over their head and feed themselves, and if they have children, feed them people too. So everyone deserves the dignity that having enough affords them, and the dignity to decide for themselves what they need and what they want. And that is what a basic income would allow. It would allow individuals to decide for themselves without somebody in a bureaucracy telling them what to do and creating hoops for everyone to jump through. It would do all the things Michael said, but right down here on the ground where people live, it would mean that people have choices. And we all deserve that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brenda, for sharing that important story. I think these are just the types of important experiences that are so helpful in increasing all of our understanding and awareness of this issue and the real impacts that basic income could have for all of us, particularly those who are the most vulnerable. Next up, we have another one of the organizers for today, someone who I know in the community as a musician. She's an incredible mom and just a real tireless advocate for all the good work that happens in our communities. Has been one of the people who, you know, put a bug in my ear pretty early on about universal basic income, and started having conversations at the outset of COVID about this stuff. And anyway, she's a big inspiration, and I know a big part of this work and all of this coming together today. So please give it up for Dana Wiley.
Thanks, Megan. Megan's doing such a fantastic job so far in this year. So I sort of stand before you. I stand before you today as one of the organizers of this rally, and also as a musician, as an artist, as a mother. And I became really passionate about basic income pretty much right when COVID hit, because I, as an artist, was brought face to face with my own precariousness, which has existed for my whole adult life as an artist, but I was really, really brought face to face with it, because suddenly there was nothing I could do. There was no sort of ingenuity I could have on my own to just like find some gig to get me through. You know, there was nothing I could do. And being brought face to face with that, it was like a lightning bolt struck me, and I just thought, this kind of stuff this has happened to all of us. COVID has happened to all of us. As something that is so drastic and about which there's nothing we can do and that we didn't cause. But this kind of stuff happens to people on an individual level all the time. And right now our government is stepping up to take care of people in the light of something that's happened to all of us. So why should people not be entitled to have their basic needs met all the time, no matter what befalls them, whether it's, you know, through fault of their own or not? That we all deserve to have those basic needs met. Yes. I also, there's been so many beautiful things said already today about basic income. And something that I feel is relevant and related to that is that this has been a really tough year for so many people. For so many people who weren't eligible for CERB and weren't able to access that support that the government stepped up with, and even for those of us who have been able to get it, it's been a tough year. So with the song I've chosen to play for you today, I'd like all of you to know that however you have experienced this year so far, whatever that's been like for you, whatever overwhelm, whatever stress you felt, whatever your struggles have been personally and individually, I see you. you are seen. I think we're gathered here today. We can witness each other, and that's what this song is about. Holder of worlds, servant of peace, let yourself cry out. 'Cause you were justified. You are beautiful, you can fall apart. I don't mind. I don't mind. Stars have already heard your cries. They are singing through you the sweetest lullabies. So hold her words, weave her a song. Let yourself cry out. Maker of sun, seeker of moon, let yourself fall down.
She wants to get a sign from you.
Just let the waves crash around you. You don't have to hold your ground. Hold your ground. to somewhere new. You may as well let the current take you, 'cause that is what it's gonna do. Holder of worlds, servant of peace, let yourself cry out, 'cause you are justified and you are beautiful. You can fall apart, I don't mind, I don't mind. The wind is already carrying your cries, and they are healing wounds we've ripped into the sky. So marker of words, maker of worlds, holder of worlds, servant of peace, let yourself cry out, let yourself cry out, let yourself cry out. Thank you so much for coming, y'all. You look beautiful.
Music is medicine. Thanks so much, Dana. Next up, we are going to hear from Cynthia Palmaria. Cynthia was born and raised in the Philippines and moved to Canada 30 years ago. She came through the sponsorship of her parents, who came to Quebec as caregivers under the foreign domestic movement. In 2013, she moved to Edmonton with her family, and they're incredible, and she became one of the founding members of Migrante Alberta. And if you don't know about Migrante, look into the work that they do. They are an incredible, incredible organization. They are a not-for-profit Filipino organization. They advocate for the rights and welfare of migrant workers. And Cynthia has been such a vital part of this work. She works in solidarity with different local, national, and international organizations, and I personally have had the great honor of working with her in a number of projects, and I can really attest to her incredible character and dedication. And we're just really lucky to have her here with us today. So please give it up, Cynthia Palmaria.
Thank you, Megan, for your kind introduction. Thank you all for being here today to support the Basic Income Campaign, and thank you for the organizers for having Migrante here. So as Megan mentioned earlier, Migrante is a migrants advocacy organization, and we work with migrant workers, precarious workers, and the undocumented. These workers are often left behind. We are often silenced, not just by the government that invited us and sometimes want to deport us, but even sometimes people that consider us allies. We believe that universal means no one is left behind. Universal income means that no one should be left behind. This COVID-19 pandemic is not only a health crisis, but it is also proving to be an economic disaster for huge numbers of people worldwide. Here in Alberta, here in Edmonton, it is no different, especially for the migrant workers. This rally calls for universal basic income to help the thousands who have lost their jobs because of measures to curb the virus, which is also combined with increasing levels of inequality and beyond. Migrants come to Canada not because we are attracted to the cold weather here. Globally, the predominant driver of migration continues to be poverty and war. Ever-expanding wars and growing income inequality, fueled by neoliberal capitalist countries such as Canada, are driving record numbers of people away from their homes. And this control has taken the form of forcing migrants to work in precarious situations for low pay with very little legal protections. A key mechanism of exerting this control has been the introduction of a tiered system of rights and privileges. A flexible, business-friendly labor market has been the motivation to import workers through its temporary foreign workers program, despite of often being couched in xenophobic rhetoric. Given this context and Canada's reliance on immigrant labor for its economic and population growth, it is imperative to examine the universal basic income in relation to migration. Basic income is generally imagined as a general universal benefit that everyone would get, regardless of their circumstances, regardless of their immigration status. We must break this criteria for social programs that works to disproportionately exclude racialized immigrants. Canada has been importing migrants for hundreds of years because migrants are cheap and disposable labor. Migrants work in the homes of middle-class and upper-class Canadian families to take care of their children and seniors. They work in the service sector, making our food. They work in meat plants and farms to feed us. The Canadian food security is dependent on migrant labor, and these are precarious workers. They are the foreign workers, the undocumented workers, and they are people just like everyone. They deserve to be treated equally and be included in universal basic income. The struggle for universal basic income must not divide us and must be used to strengthen our solidarity, our unity, and this will only happen if no one is left behind. Thank you.
Truly important perspectives. Our next speaker is one of my comrades, a community organizer, and someone who's been involved with the nonprofit organization Hip Hop in the Park since its beginning. I feel like that was over a decade ago now. Yeah, so he's a poet, he's an MC, he is a producer, he's a grant writer, I know that, an incredible community helper, and someone you can always count on to show up just when you need him. Please give some love to Kaz Mega.
Hey, how's everybody doing today? I haven't performed since COVID, I believe. So this is this is my first performance. And I wrote a lot of this stuff prior to this. And it's based in my understanding of equity I've been kind of using this as my mantra-ish, something I repeat to myself and learn from constantly. And it helps me sort of guide myself. It's like my internal compass. And it's called the Trickle Up Effect. The art of hip-hop, or the culture of hip-hop practices it. And it has to do with, seeing who has the least voice and amplifying that. And I think that's a really important way to live given the situation we are in these days and these times. So I'm gonna start it with a call back to y'all, and y'all gonna respond. So call and response. This is Jamaican ting, so we go back with it. And I'm gonna say love is good, and I want y'all to say all the time. Love is good!
All the time.
Love is good!
All the time.
Okay. So, next question is probably like, what is love? And I think that is an ongoing journey, so, I'm not gonna try and answer that. But ask yourself that as well. I think we were taught a lot of that by Hollywood, and I think you gotta question that these days. So what is love? Think about it. And without any further ado, this one is the Trickle Up Effect. Show me the bottom of the barrel. I'll show y'all the Trickle Up Effect. They triple up the steps, hoping that we be tripping up the steps, hoping we slip and bust our lips, hoping we bit our tongues a bit, hoping that when we spit an S, our mother tongue becomes a lisp. Get on a list. I hope your cuz ain't missing cuz. Bump your fist and get your wristicuffs for fisticuffs. Now if they listen up when we cry for loved and missing ones, you see the politician system is indifferent, missing us. And if the politician system is indifferent, missing us, and they don't stand for us, leaving us as some sitting ducks, claiming we getting uppity when we was just getting up, in the slum slumbering on the bottom bunk. Now look up, that's what they want you to want. Look down, that's what they want you to stomp. So while you talk in the walk, that means you talk in the taunt. The bottom's throwing rocks, the top's got rockets to launch. And everybody want to be black until it's time to react. Everybody want to be black until it's time to react. Everybody want to be black until it's time to react. At the time I wrote this, and wasn't in no hurry to get back to Fort McMurray, best believe that. Show me the bottom of the barrel, I'll show y'all the Trickle Up Effect. A simple enough request is a Nero stays near who cuts the checks. Heroes stay near the bottom, what your bottom ain't on their bucket list, but you don't know nothing if you've never had nothing less, or nothing left. Now as the water trickles up the deck of the soon-to-be sunken ship, the man them get enough respect, save the women youngest check. Under stress, under water, sudden death, nothing less. No wonder God was like, okay, enough of this. Flood ya bish. Clouds open, the thunder splits. Wave experience is seriously undermixed. I mean, you can experimenting with the cuttlefish. Trouble tryst, soul is as deep as the weakest puddle is. Deep as a secret subtle twist, the middle class and upper glimpse. But they don't understand the depth of struggle or its consequence. Middle class activism can kiss my after this. Capitalist with captive lists. Captive lips, kissing babies, passionless. Now ask them this. Do they really think they're politicking? I mean, knocking on doors for cred. I don't think they know the difference. They want me to vote instead of knocking on all their systems, but I understand equity equates to a happy and strong existence. Knowledge, wisdom. Eliminate your contradiction. Consult a transgender female of color on all decisions. Have the inmates who graduate from prison making law revisions, and the physically disabled people draw up all the buildings. Have the indigenous native people in charge of all the billions or the trillions redefine what being trill is. Have the women of color lead feminist groups to all of their brilliance because of the last remnants of our culture and its resilience. You see, the people at the bottom understand what we all need. The people at the top just want to make us a colony. There are cons in our economy. Pharmacy's a farce to me. My apologies from the bottom of my heart, half-heartedly. Show me the bottom of the barrel. Thank you.
He said disability once in his poem.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So, you guys know how it goes. You always save the last speaker to be that person who's gonna drop that bomb on everybody and have that last word ring so true in your ears. So I really like that our last speaker today is certainly not the least. Really an incredible, incredible woman who I've been able to get to know through community work that I do. I know Julie to be, for the years now that I've known her, someone who fearlessly leads the way. She leads by example. She leads with humor and love and a smile on her face so much of the time. And she brings the realness, that real talk. Julie is a farm girl. She's been living in the city for 13 years, and we're sure lucky to have her here. And she has some life experiences to share with us. Take it away, Julie.
Hi, I'm not much of a speaker, so I thought I'd just tell you a little bit about my story today and why I am in support of basic income should be fairly evident by the time I get to the end of it. I grew up on a farm, but found I couldn't function out there. I wasn't able enough to farm. I was educated like everybody else. I was mainstreamed and just as smart as everybody I attended school with, if not smarter. And unfortunately, when I went to look for work, they would say, well, can you do this? So instead of asking me what I could do, they just assumed that I could do nothing. Fortunately, at that time, there was a social assistance program that I could turn to help meet my basic needs while I looked for housing and work and tried to fit into the world. My first apartment, that's a story. At the time, my income was approximately just over $100 less than my expenses. And I'm talking basic expenses. I didn't have internet or cable that have become so important today. In particular, internet. I lived in a basement suite with a walker, so I climbed in and out daily, or whenever I wanted to leave. It had several maintenance issues. There was even an incident where I had to call the ambulance because I had burns that I had to deal with because the water heater was overzealous. There was water coming out of the light fixture at one point. You never knew whether the neighbors were going to hurt you or not. It was not a safe or comfortable place, but it was what I could afford. Now, fortunately, over time, that social assistance program that has helped me out for many, many years has caught up with the cost of living somewhat, but still leaves me around the poverty line. And it has taken me 10 years to find housing that worked, that was accessible and affordable, and if it weren't for a subsidy, that wouldn't work with the program that I'm on. It's unfortunate that although this is my story, and this is what it was, and I do well on what I thought, in the absence of no other social programs, I'm very glad to be on what I'm receiving. However, it does have its restrictions, and I know that I am among the fortunate ones. There are so many that struggle so hard with trying to make ends meet. Disability costs more than any other form of living because you're having to make up for shortfalls in programs and cover some of your equipment or your meds or whatever else you might need. So I'm fortunate enough to be in the space that I'm in and living for all intents and purposes on a somewhat restrictive basic income. It allows me to do the things I'd like to do, to take jobs that I love instead of jobs that wouldn't pay me very much, wouldn't meet my basic needs, and would leave me exhausted in the meantime. And it allows me to volunteer and advocate in my community and say the things that are important and do more artistic work and be the person that I want to be and try to make a difference in the world. So I'm hoping that we could get that for as many people as possible. Oh goodness. Oh dear, I've lost my train of thought, so I guess I'm just about done. So I think that's what a basic income would look like. A basic income would allow people it wouldn't be a case of not working or being lazy. It would just alleviate the struggling so that one could function in the world in ways that make the world a better place. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to thank all of you for being here and affirming what I believe we're all gathered here in agreement on, which is that we need a basic income for all. Human rights are not up for debate. So just a couple last minute things before the final ending of it all. A reminder about the speaker's corner back there. I know many of you have important things to share, and I think that's a really great space and opportunity to do that.
Girls, let's go to
I want to thank so many of the people who made this beautiful event happen today. I was
making our way to the
honored
speaker's
to
corner.
get a phone call